In this video, we will be looking at reviewing the midpoint and distance formulas. These should look familiar to you. They both involve finding things on the coordinate grid. Of course, the midpoint formula finds the average of 2 points. That's basically all it does, is it finds the halfway point between two coordinates on a coordinate grid. And the distance formula, of course, tells you how far apart they are. All right, we will just do a few examples here. A landscape design includes 2 square flower beds and a sprinkler halfway between them. Find the coordinates of the sprinkler if the centers of the flower beds are at 4, 5, and 14, 16. And so if you kind of think of this on a coordinate grid, 4, 5, let's say, would be right here. 14, 16 would be right here. And those are the center of the flower beds, and we want to find the coordinates of the sprinkler head if it's halfway between them. So we know the sprinkler head is going to be somewhere right there. The question becomes, which formula do we use? Do we use the midpoint formula, or do we use the distance formula? And we want to use the midpoint formula in this case because the sprinkler will be halfway between them. And so if we label these, this is like our x1, this is our y1, this is our x2, this is our y2. So if we average those 2 points, then you will have 4 plus 14 for x1. This is 4, this is 14 right here, divided by 2. And then, of course, 5 plus 16 divided by 2. And 4 plus 14 is 18 divided by 2 is 9. And 5 plus 16 is 21 divided by 2. We are going to leave that as 21 halves. If you want to call that 10.5, I suppose you could, but I am going to leave that as 21 halves. And that's where our sprinkler head will be. Here I'm needing you to find the distance between these 2 coordinates, so it's asking me to find how far apart they are. Of course, that's x1 and y1, and x2 and y2. You can certainly switch which set is the 1s and which set is the 2s around, but the 3 and the 6 have to stay as either both 1s or both 2s, just so you know. Okay? All right, when we set up our distance formula then, we are going to plug it into this handy-dandy formula over here. And of course, x2 I have labeled as 4, minus x1 is negative 3, squared, plus y2, which I have as negative 4, minus y1, squared. Boom, boom there, so I have 7 squared, plus negative 4 minus 6 is negative 10, squared. Of course, 7 is 49 and negative 10 is 100. So when I add those two together, I have the square root of 149. And you're going to want to try to break that down if you can. So for instance, like if it came out to be the square root of 20, you would want to make that 4 and 5 and make that be 2 root 5. The square root of 149 does not break down, so I can't do anything with it. It's not a whole number, but it doesn't break down either. So I will leave it just like that. All right, so here we go on a straight road. We have George, who is 3 kilometers east of a water tower. So I'm going to kind of draw a picture here. Here's my water tower. Isn't it beautiful? George is 3 kilometers east of that water tower. So 3 kilometers this way is where George is. And Don is 6 kilometers west of that water tower. So Don is this way, and he's 6 kilometers west. Relative to the water tower, where is the midpoint positions of George and Don? So basically there's 9 kilometers from here to here, I think you can see. Half of 9 is 4.5. So if I go in 4.5, the halfway point will be 4.5 in here. So this distance has to be 4.5, and this is clearly not to scale. And this distance has to be 4.5, which means the center, of course, is right here, which makes, I'm sorry. Yeah, the center is right there, okay, which makes this distance from here to here 1.5. Okay, not to scale, I'm sorry, it's a little confusing, but the center is 1.5 kilometers west of the water tower, okay? That distance right there is 1.5, so it's 1.5 kilometers west of the water tower. All right. And the last one. We have Ruby, who is 15 miles east of Lila. Okay, so I am going to make Lila right here. And then we have Ruby, who is 15 miles east of Lila. So I am going to put Ruby right here. And this is 15 miles. Mary is 16 miles west of Lucy, and Ruby is 12 miles east of Mary. Okay, so I am going to figure this out first. Ruby is 12 miles east of Mary. So Mary is going to be right here. This distance right here is 12 miles, and Ruby is east of Mary. So there's where Mary is. Clearly then you can see that this distance right here, if you needed it, was 3 miles. Okay. And then, let's see. Ruby is 12 miles east of Mary, and Mary is 16 miles west of Lucy. So I have 16 miles here, and this is where Lucy is. Okay. So, it's 12 from here to here, and 16 from here to here. So clearly this distance then must be 4 miles. Okay. And the question is, how many miles is Lila from Lucy? Okay, how many questions is Lila from Lucy? Well, here's the deal. Lila from Lucy. We have these 16 miles right here, and then these 3 miles right here. So when we put the 16 and the 3 together, we have 19 miles to get from Lila to Lucy. Okay, so you're going to just kind of have to draw pictures and put some facts together.